All right, let's just call him the $100 million man. In this show, I'm interviewing Anthony Morrison. Anthony is a dear friend, he's a mentor, but more importantly, he's made over $100 million automating webinars. And I convinced him to sit down with me and walk through exactly how to automate your webinar. You don't want to miss this show. So the big question is this: how is a tiny percentage of entrepreneurs blow the pack away? What are they doing that we're not? I asked myself that question for 10 years. I was failing forward and getting sick of it. I wanted to build a coaching business, but couldn't make any headway. So I started studying them. I realized that the world's most elite marketers, entrepreneurs, and gurus were all using the same 4-step system. I call it the authority factor. On the show, I'm going to prove to you that the authority factor worked for them and it'll work for you. My name is Ken Dunn. Let's get started. All right, well, I'm just super excited, friends. Thanks for joining me today. This is going to be a longer show because I've asked Anthony to take the mic and literally walk through every step in the strategy on how to automate a webinar. Anthony literally has been in digital marketing and online marketing for 20 years. He's made over $100 million. He's averaging 10 to 20 million a month right now with automated webinars. And he's helped me and hundreds of people like me to automate our webinars. I followed the strategies that he laid out in this conversation, and I have 3 different webinars that are automated and are generating sales every day. Let's get to it. Anthony, do me a favor and start off by telling everybody just a little bit about your background, and then let's jump into it.
Yeah, I mean, I started some of my business online when I was, gosh, it was probably 17, 18. I started selling car parts on the internet. And for any of you that think that, there's like, you're thinking to yourself, like, whatever it is you're selling and whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is that you wake up in the morning, you're excited about, and you think, God, there's no way I'm going to be able to make money with this, right? Man, I sold $300,000 a month worth of car parts for like 2 specific Ford Mustang model cars, like 1996 to 1998 Ford Mustang cars. Like, you can't get any more niche down than that. I mean, straight up, just like a specific couple of years cars. And I mean, I was selling, $300,000 a month of that, give or take $250,000, $300,000 a month for years. And this was a long time ago. This was, I mean, I heard you say you know how old I was. I try to cut my hair short nowadays to hide the graying, the massive amounts of graying that are taking place, as everyone can see. So I'll be 38 Christmas Eve of this year. So I guess we're looking at, unfortunately, 2 decades ago that I was doing this. And so back then, the people didn't buy online. They shopped online. They didn't buy online. They would go look, but they wanted to call, right? And so I'll never forget when I was 18, I got my second cell phone. I had 2 cell phones. And my whole life has been kind of like, I guess, molded by that. The phone I have now actually has 2 phone lines in it. I think we talked about sports, eSIM, and I have AT&T and Verizon both on this phone. I've had two phones almost my whole life now because I was constantly on call waiting and calls, taking orders for people. And I got to the point where I had memorized the entire catalog of everything I was selling, all the parts, what they cost, what my cost was, what customers pay, what other websites were selling them for. And like, I just immersed myself in it. And one day I woke up and I was like, my gosh, I am so tired of this. The grind of being on the phone all the time. I would take, 100 phone calls a day easy. And I did it 24 hours a day. I did not have a time frame. It was always 24 hours a day. And that's when I found, digital marketing, selling courses, selling products, affiliate marketing, teaching, educating. And it really allowed me to actually scale, to go from beyond what just one person can do, live on either a phone call or a webinar or whatever, and go into being able to scale to massive levels. And that's how I got into the game. And then I've kind of evolved over time. And And it's something that I try to teach everybody who's doing this, you know, how to automate and how to set up systems so you can scale, because that's the only way I got to where I'm at.
Well, friends, I got to tell you, I'm going to let Anthony just run with this right now and get out of his way. But you need to understand a little bit of the background. I was in Russell Brunson's world, his inner circle, for years. And it was Anthony Morrison that I saw at every one of his funnel hacking lives getting all these crazy awards. He's the #1 affiliate with ClickFunnels in the world. He makes hundreds of millions of dollars. And it was just last year, I realized that after 4 or 5 years of following Anthony, that I was actually hacking his programs and his funnels, which we all do, funnel hacking, buying his products, and then hacking the way he was doing things. And I thought, you know what, screw it. I need to just give Anthony whatever his biggest ticket is and start honoring this man for what he's doing. And I've been following him. I've been blowing up his phone. I want to learn as much as I can from him, and I want to share him with you guys. That's really what it comes down to. And Anthony, his heart, and forgive me for talking about you like you're not here in the moment, but as way of an introduction, friends, I've been begging him to come today and talk to you about how he automates his webinars, because he is on to strategies that do not exist in this world. And what he's going to show you today is going to blow your mind. So Anthony, I'm going to get out of your way, brother. I've got pen and paper ready, and I'll pass this all over to you.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, listen, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. And thanks for that great introduction. And thanks to all of you who are here and spending your time listening and learning on a weekend instead of doing what so many other people around the world are doing, which is not being productive, right? Look, this is what we need more of in the world, right? While there's this crazy tension going on and all this crazy stuff happening around us, we need more events like this, more opportunities like this, where people can come together with a single interest and really help each other to be in a better place tomorrow than you are today, right? And that's what it's really all about. So I'm happy to chime in, to give you guys a little motivation, but also some education that can lead you in the right direction. And a shout out to George Beasley, who says I was the first person to pique his interest in internet marketing many, many years ago. So wanted to say hey to you. It's always good to know that at the very least, I've inspired somebody to look into this world and in this space and be able to do something, right? And so what I'm going to talk to you about for the next hour or so is automated webinars. So I want to get a quick, just an understanding of who's here. Type the #1 in if you already do webinars in your business. Just type #1 in the chat box for me if you already do webinars in your business. Okay. So I see a few ones coming in. Okay. Keep them coming. Just type #1 in the chat box for me if you do webinars, and then type #2 in if you don't do webinars, but you have something else to sell. Like you have something to sell. You sell it through a VSL or you sell it through a landing page or whatever. You just haven't done webinars yet, but you've got your own product, coaching service, consulting service, whatever. You just aren't doing webinars yet. Okay. Keep it coming. Lots of ones, lots of twos. Very good. And then type #3 in if you have nothing to sell. Okay. No webinar, no VSL, no product. You're just here to learn marketing. All right. So it looks like we kind of got a little bit of everybody in the room. Okay. So not bad. I like to know who I'm speaking to so I can make sure I don't go into too much detail or not enough detail and things like that. So what I'm going to do is, you guys will have to forgive me. I am really an automated, I really do just automate my life these days. So being on Zoom is not the norm for me. So I'm going to attempt to do Zoom and PowerPoint, which again, I don't ever do. Okay. So give me just a second. Let me make sure I can pull my little chat box up because I like to be able to see the chat. And then if you guys can just tell me if you can see the slide without me doing presenter mode and all of that nonsense. Can everybody see the slide just fine? Yes. Because I like to be able to see the chat. So I much prefer to just do it this way. All right, cool. Everybody can see it. Awesome. Well, here's the thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this software that I've been using kind of behind the scenes in this world, right? You can plug this into any funnel and you can dramatically increase your sales. It does not matter what type of funnel you are running, okay? Everyone can benefit from this, and everyone can increase their sales from this if you just pay close attention and listen to the psychology of why it's working. Look, this is what got me all of those awards you just heard Ken talking about. A lot of you have talked about or have heard about ClickFunnels. I know I've seen you talking about it in the chat box and such. Look, I've won 8 of the 2 Comma Club awards from ClickFunnels with Russell. I think Russell usually just jokes that I'm on the stage oftentimes as much as he is at these events, just constantly coming up there getting these awards. And there's a reason I'm showing you this, and it's not because I can say, oh, look at all the awards I got. It's really not got anything to do with that. I'm going to explain to you how and why I went from this this kind of 2 Comma Club award, I would say 7 or 8 of these $1 million awards, all the way up to this 2 Comma Club award, which this is for doing $10 million with a single product, single funnel, single offer, right? So I've got multiple of these. And so this is for doing $10 million, right? And then we scale from that. So we went from $1 million awards to $10 million awards up to now we have the 2 Comma Club C award, which is for doing $50 million online. So done a little bit, done a little bit of sales in digital marketing. And the whole reason I'm showing you this is I want to talk to you about the evolution, how we went from this, okay, we got $1 million award, that's awesome, to a 10 million, to a 50 million, and then all the way to up here where I was able to win a lot of, like Ken said, these awards for being the #1 affiliate for ClickFunnels. That's not my normal business model, to be an affiliate for really for anybody, certainly not for ClickFunnels. I've won this Dream Car Award, I don't even know how many times. And then I ended up being the #1 super affiliate for ClickFunnels. I've referred more people to ClickFunnels than anyone, right? And the question is, how did I do it, right? And how did I take ClickFunnels, which has now paid me multiple 7 figures in affiliate income, and how did I do that without that even being my business model? Like, I've never run an ad for it. I've never tried to sell somebody ClickFunnels, none of that. So how did I end up with all of these commissions and being their #1 affiliate when that's not even my core business? How many of you realize that if you've got a core business, whether you're coaching or consulting or you're selling a specific product, that you can have that one core thing, right? But that you can have all of these ancillary products around it, right? That all work cohesively together. They support the one product and the one product supports them. Does everybody understand what I'm talking about when I say that? Just say yes if you do. You see, a lot of times people get caught up on selling just one thing, right? Or promoting just one thing. What I like to do is create what we call ecosystems. You should write that down. Ecosystems. I like to have an ecosystem so that when somebody comes in and they buy one of my products, okay, at the end of the day, I'm able to kind of funnel them from within the product, within the training, right, into these other ancillary products. For instance, ClickFunnels, right? And I do that through a unique way of training and educating and basically selling through teaching, right? If you educate somebody well enough on something, they'll obviously want it, right? It's just kind of the way of the world. We always kind of step back when we don't understand something. That's what makes it so hard to sell. So what I always find is, and this is a great lesson on selling for you guys, like people will always try to come up with these. You'll see that this PowerPoint presentation, I think might be 20, well, it says it's 38 slides. And 2 of those are duplicates because I suck at PowerPoint, right? So I don't create presentations and videos aimed to sell people. And the reason for that is because when you create a presentation with the goal of selling, you're trying to take somebody who shows up to an event just like this, right? That isn't really interested in what you're selling, didn't come here to buy it, certainly didn't come here knowing you were going to try to sell it to them, and you're trying to convince them to buy. What I like to do is educate. I like to teach. I like to make people aware of what it is that they may not know exists. And then my theory is that through that education, through that awareness, it's going to create desire inside of all of those people that just were educated. And they're going to seek out purchasing what I have because they're going to know how to use it. They're going to understand why they need it. They're going to feel like, wow, I understand why if I go buy this, I'm going to be able to do X, Y, or Z in my business. So I sell through education, right? And everything that we do is designed to fit into that model. So it just stands to reason that when somebody buys one of my courses, we go through a lot of education, but throughout that education, we're able to refer people over to the products and software and tools that we use like ClickFunnels. And that's how I became the #1 affiliate for ClickFunnels. Now, the next obvious question is, well, how did I get enough customers for that to even help, for that to even work, right? And that's where we have to start talking about the software that I've been using it's definitely been behind the scenes because we developed it. And it's what's helped me to take all of my funnels and go from these little $1 million funnels up to $50 million, okay? So super, super important. But before we show the software, before we kind of go into all of that, we need a little context, okay? We need to understand why this would work. Like, what is the point of this? What problem are we solving? Well, we don't have to look very far. We can look at ClickFunnels, right? I mean, all of you know about ClickFunnels. Probably all of you use ClickFunnels. Honestly, if you don't use ClickFunnels, you probably should. We run multi-million dollar business using ClickFunnels pages, right? I just don't know why anybody would ever really need or desire to use anything else, to be honest with you. And that's just, we love it and it works really well for us. And so how did Russell launch and grow ClickFunnels? Here is Russell's model. This is exactly what Russell told the world when we first talked about Webinar Fuel. This is how he launched ClickFunnels. It was very simple. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, he would run ads and promote a live webinar, just like the one that we're all on right now, that he was doing on a Thursday. He would do that webinar on Thursday. Then on Friday, he would run a replay of the webinar. And then Saturday and Sunday, he would kind of do a close down, some urgency, right? And then he would start all the way back over at the beginning. Does that make sense to everybody? Just say yes if this promotional model makes sense to you, okay? If all of you understand that this is how he was able to launch and sell so much ClickFunnels. Doing this model right here. I mean, this is the model. Every day of the week, you can see what Russell was doing, okay, and what was necessary in order to get him where he's at today, which is just a mega multi-$100 million company, right? So what did that kind of equate to? Well, if I was in presenter mode, this little circle wouldn't be sitting up there right now, so forgive me for that. But he ended up getting registrants, about 1,000 registrants per week at $3 a registrant. So he spent about $3,000 on ads. 25% of the people would show up to that webinar. That's about 250 people. Now, he closed 10%, kind of hard to see because of the red line through it, at $997. That's 25 sales, which equates to $25,000 live on the webinar. And then he'd double up his sales on the follow-ups, which is another 25 grand. So he'd spend $3,000 in ads, make $50,000 in sales, plus get 1,000 new leads on his list. How many of you feel like that is phenomenal and amazing? Just say yes. I'll go ahead and raise 2 hands for it, because anytime you can spend $3,000 and make $50,000, you are a boss, okay? So Russell has done a great job with this, okay? Phenomenal job. And that's the power of webinars, right? That's the power of being on a live webinar like this, okay? Very, very, very powerful selling experience, okay, when you are on webinars. But the question, okay, is what if you had 100% show up rate? Or what if you went from 25% to, I don't know, 60% or 70% or 80% of the people showing up? How many of you feel like you'd make more money? Just say yes, okay? If you just went ahead and doubled your show up rate, you would probably double your revenue or come close to it. And let me ask you this. What if you didn't have to do this thing live every week? What if you could just record it, okay, and play it back and not have to be live every single week? What if we could take out of this equation right here, this live thing? What if we could eliminate that and we could automate the entire thing? Well, we tried that. Russell tried it. I tried it. And here's the problem. All the auto webinar platforms that we tried simply sucked. That's just all there is to it. Now, I can tell you why they suck, and it's going to be super, super simple. Okay. When you automate and when you look at automated webinars, all of the automated webinar platforms on the market play your webinar back in a web browser. What that means is you go online and you click a little button and it says register for tomorrow's webinar at 8 o'clock, right? And you register, and then tomorrow when you show up, you click the button and you literally just like are on a web page watching a video. How many of you have ever attended a webinar like that? An automated webinar that just simply plays back on your web browser like a video, right? I see lots and lots and lots of yeses coming in. Keep them coming. I love engagement. So the more you engage, the happier I'll be, right? I see lots of people saying yes. Here's the thing. How many of you right now feel like being here live on Zoom, you have far more energy than when you watch those webinars played back in your web browser? Type the number 1 in if you feel like there's more energy here. If you feel like, I see tons of, like the ones are coming in so much faster now than anything else and any other time that I've asked questions. Here's the thing. Live events, okay? Live events, there is no substitute for selling at a live event. And it is because when an event is live like this, people are focused, like they're engaged. They feel like they're a part of something, right? You don't ever feel like, think about this. When you like record, I don't know if any of you watch sports, but like you record a game, right? You record the World Series baseball game and you come home to watch it, 2 days later, right? There's no way you're on the edge of your seat just into it, right? Because it actually happened 2 days ago. The outcome's already decided, right? Like you're not as focused. Here's the thing. There is no substitute for having a live event with human beings in the same room, right? Like literally in a hotel room, in a stadium, whatever, just live together because you feed off of everyone's energy, right? That's what happens. That's why when Tony Robbins gets up and he starts doing all that stuff like that, man, people just jump, it's crazy. Like you see people that you would never even imagine a day in your life jumping up and down and dancing around and just acting crazy. And why are they doing it? Because they're feeding off the energy from everybody else in that room, right? When that happens, people instantly buy into the process, okay? It's the reason why we will pay money to go to a concert to listen to a song that we can literally play for free on our phones, right? We love the live environments, and live environments create an opportunity for you to sell your product at a much higher rate than a video on a web page. So here's the big miss that all these auto webinar platforms had. They said, hey, we can automate the webinar process, right? And so what did they really automate? Well, they automated you being able to register for it and being able to watch it at a certain time. What they left out was the fact that, the biggest reason that we want to do webinars is the live element that people get when they're sitting in software like this. When you had to download that Zoom app and play it on your computer or log in on your computer, you had to download the Zoom app on your phone and you're like logged into something. They missed the boat on that. So all of these auto webinar platforms, really, they just time delay playing back a video, right? Well, that's just simply not going to cut it. And it didn't cut it for me. It didn't work for me. It wasn't something that we liked. And let's just also mention one other thing that's just absolutely astounding to me. But a couple of years ago, Google and Chrome, they made it so that you cannot autoplay videos. How many of you are aware of that? Like if a video autoplays, there's no audio. You have to click You either have to click play or you have to click and turn on the audio. You can't just go to a web page and a video start playing with audio anymore. So all these other automated webinar platforms, when you log into the webinar, like you show up and you log in, you literally have to click play. Imagine if all of you got on this Zoom meeting here this weekend, and when you got on, you had to click the play button. Would you feel like it was live? Yes or no? Probably not. I see lots of people saying no. And if you don't feel like it's live, are you actually going to stay on it? Probably not. Are you going to be engaged? Probably not. And if you're not engaged, guess what happens? It means you're not paying attention. You're not focused. If you're not paying attention and you're not focused, then it doesn't matter how good I am at selling. It doesn't matter all the awesome ninja tricks that you hear people talk about that they do on their webinars. Don't matter if the people on the webinars aren't paying attention. Because listen, I can drop some awesome NLP. I can absolutely just have some epic copy on here and I can crush it. And if you're not paying attention, it doesn't matter. Everybody with me on that? Yes? So the most important thing that you can possibly have is the person's attention, because that's the only way that you can sell them something. It's the only way you can educate them. It's the only way that you're going to take them from a prospect who joined your webinar to a customer who joins your company, right? But you got to have their focus and their attention so that you can tell them why that's a good decision. And you lose that on these auto webinar platforms that basically just disregard the number one reason that live webinars work, right? And so what did we do? Well, we thought, man, what if you didn't have to go live every week in order to get that awesome experience? What if you could get 100% show up rate? I mean, what if you could get all of these people to really show up for your webinar? And not only that, what if you could have better follow-ups? What if you could have follow-ups that actually truly worked and got people back on your webinar and got them to purchase the products that you were selling? And that's when we went ahead and we started. I said, look, I got to do this myself. I've been trying to get other companies to do it. It's a pain. And by the way, Michael says, claiming to be live, then finding it to be recording every item presented within the webinar is less appealing. Here's the thing. Here's the key. You never claim that your webinar is live. You just simply don't say that it's not live, right? Nothing wrong with that, okay? I don't say, join my live webinar, right? That's not what we do. But at the same time, right, I don't say, join my replay, okay? I just say, join the webinar, and it feels live, just like this feels live right now, right? No, it really is live. I see some people are saying, I see some people are like, are you live right now? Yeah, I'm here. I'm live. Don't worry. But look, giving that live feeling to the webinar is the number one key to making a webinar work, okay? And so we created Webinar Fuel. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a demo of this for you, and I'm gonna actually show you why Webinar Fuel is going to absolutely crush it for you if you choose to use it, okay? It's in software. What that means is anytime somebody joins a webinar on Webinar Fuel, it literally opens up software on their computer and plays the webinar, just like Zoom. No one else has done that. No one else has been able to do that, right? They just play back videos on a web page. Not so much for us, right? Doesn't work. So what we do is we play it back in software. We also designed an app for your phone, just like the Zoom app, in case some of you are joining us from your phone. Well, what that means is, that means that no matter how somebody joins our webinar, they don't have to press the play button because we're not playing it in a browser. So that means we can just automatically play the webinar. Does everybody see where that could be valuable? Yes? Like the webinar just starts right up. It's like this amazing thing, right? It actually auto plays. The registration and the thank you page, we create these widgets, okay? So other webinar platforms, the way that you have to use them, if you will, require you to use the thank you page after somebody registers for your webinar that they build, okay? So they build one in their platform, some little template, you know, crappy looking little template thing where you can change a few words and that's it. Everybody should write this down. This is good education for you, okay? Write this down, okay? The most important page in your entire process is your thank you page. It's the most important page in the entire process of your funnel is your thank you page. And here's why. Everyone who registers for your webinar is going to see that thank you page, that confirmation page, right? Not everybody is going to get on your webinar. Not everyone is going to watch the whole thing. Not everyone is going to buy, okay? But everyone will see your thank you page. So what you do with that thank you page is absolutely one of the most important things and one of the easiest ways for you to be able to make more money from your webinar. And that, to me, is hands down the most important thing we can do. So think about this. I want everybody to think about this, okay? Let's say that you're running an automated webinar, all right? And somebody registers and the webinar starts 3 days from now, okay? Do you think that you might possibly be able to sell something on your thank you page? Somebody just registered for your webinar and they're on the thank you page and they're hearing all about what's happening. And maybe you say, hey, listen, I'm so excited you registered for our webinar. I've got this book that I wrote and it's only $19.95. I'd love if you'd grab a copy of it before the webinar so you can get to know me a little bit more, get to know what we teach a little bit more, and you'll be ultra prepared for this webinar. So you can click the link right now and get this book for 20 bucks. How many of you feel like you probably would sell some books on that page? Just say yes. Okay. All right. Very good. I see lots and lots of yeses. Now, here's the thing. What happens if somebody registers for your automated webinar and there's only like 10 minutes before the webinar starts? Do you really want to be talking to them about buying a book? Probably not. You want to be talking to them about getting on the webinar, correct? Because there's only a small amount of time. We want their focus to be getting on that webinar. We don't have enough time to talk to them about buying our book and watching this video and watching that video and all these things. We need to get them on the webinar. Okay? Does that make sense, everybody? Yes? Okay. So here's the thing. Our software, Webinar Fuel, allows you to show different thank you pages to people based on how long it is until their webinar starts. So let's just say that somebody registers and it's 3 days before their webinar starts. You can show them a thank you page that you can build in ClickFunnels or I heard some of you say GrooveFunnels, whatever. You can. This Webinar Fuel works with any software. We use it with ClickFunnels, but it'll work with anything. So you can show them a thank you page that's designed to maybe sell them a product and get them prepared for your webinar. But then if somebody registers and the webinar is in the next 10 minutes, it'll just put them straight on the webinar, right? Make sure that they're there waiting, countdown timer coming, they're ready for the event to start. Can everybody see how that is an earning potential that nobody else has tapped into yet, right? There's a ton of opportunity to make money right there on your thank you page from a ton of people that register for your webinars that you can't do in other software because A, you have to use their little template pages. You can't build your own. And B, you certainly can't send people to different thank you pages based on how long it is before their webinar starts. Huge opportunity. You're not stuck with these crappy little templates. We have live chat. So that means that just like all of you are chatting right now, if you have people on your webinar, okay, chatting, you can chat with them. So even though they're on a replay or a you know, like live, evergreen, automated webinar, you can still chat with them, just like you're chatting right now in this Zoom, okay? There's so many different things that you can do inside of Webinar Fuel. How many of you would like to see kind of the inside of it right now? Okay, very cool. Awesome. Very, very good. I see lots and lots and lots of people saying yes. I want to get a kind of a lay of the land real quick. Type the number 10 in if you feel like automated webinars right now would help your business grow and make more money. And then type the number 9 in if you think you don't even need an automated webinar. You're happy to listen to me, but webinars aren't going to help you, right? Okay, so I see lots and lots and lots and lots of 10s. Really don't see any 9s coming in. I really don't know where all these things came. Okay, all 10s. Couple of 1 or 2 9s, but most everybody's typing 10s. Good. So it's a good topic. It's a good opportunity for you to learn. So let me just pull up this. All right. So this is the inside, and hopefully you guys can see this. It's super hard for me. Like, I'm not a Zoom master. So can everybody see this just fine? Just say yes if you can. Okay. Very cool. All right. So real quick, I'm going to show you kind of some of the stuff inside of Webinar Fuel. It's a little difficult for me to show everything inside of a software like this, right? Like just like that. But what I'd really like to do is focus on the actual webinars themselves, and we'll focus on this one right here because this one has some data in it. I want to focus on the setup and just kind of showing you how you can get a webinar live and what happens when people join your webinars, okay? So some of the things that you'll notice firsthand with Webinar Fuel is you can create as many webinars as you want. There's a lot of these over here we just kind of play around with, but you can create as many webinars as you would like to create inside of Webinar Fuel. So you're not limited on how many webinars you create. When you go to create a webinar, there's a quick little setup wizard right here. You walk through these steps right here, and that's pretty much it. You are going to add your video for your webinar, okay? I don't think that's anything that I got to go through. You just simply add your video that you've recorded of your webinar and you put it right here. Then we allow you to do scheduling, okay? Now this is pretty cool. If you've never seen this before, you've never done this before, there's some opportunities in Webinar Fuel that don't exist in some of these other platforms. First of all, you can see that we always show the times in the registrant's time zone. So when somebody comes to one of our pages to register for one of our webinars, basically we always show the next available time in their time zone so that they know when to show up for the webinar. And then you create your schedule for your webinar right here. You can literally have it say, hey, there's an opportunity to join a session that's currently in progress right now. So somebody can click and join a webinar that's in progress right now. And this little timer over here lets you set what time in the video you want it to start. So think about it. If you click join a session in progress, and it instantly says, hey everybody, welcome to the webinar. My name is Anthony Morrison. I'm excited to teach you how to generate revenue and subscribers and traffic with YouTube, blah, blah, blah. You'd say, wait a minute, what are the odds that I just showed up right when it started? Probably not, right? So what this does is this says, hey, if somebody chooses to join a session in progress, just start at 3 minutes into the video, right? So it'll skip to 3 minutes in the video, and I might be in the middle of saying, and that's the reason why this webinar is so awesome, blah, 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 blah. And now it looks like you joined a session in progress. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes? Okay, very cool. So one of the features we added in because it made sense to add it in. Then you can also schedule your webinar out, okay? So for instance, right here it says you can schedule every day, and what we do is we call this just in time, and you can select the basically on the hour, 15 minutes, 45, 30. So when you select all of these, what that means is when somebody comes to your page to register, every 15 minutes, there's a webinar starting. So what they'll see is if they come in at, I don't know, 8:55, right? When they click the button to register, they'll see that there's a webinar starting at 9 o'clock, right? So there's always one starting every 15 minutes in this particular scenario. But you can do it however you choose. You can say, hey, I want it to be on a certain date at a certain time. You can say, I want it to be every Monday at 8 p.m. Or you can even say, hey, let people watch yesterday's replay. Boom. Now they can just click to watch yesterday's replay. Okay. So we allow all kinds of scheduling options for you so that you control your schedule for your webinars. Also, we have some built-in kind of intelligence, right? So for instance, you're probably not going to be doing any webinars on Christmas Day, and you're probably not going to be doing any webinars on New Year's Eve, right? And at night between 11 p.m., or you can choose, but between 11 p.m. and say 7 a.m., you probably don't have any live webinars going on around that time, right? So if you set this schedule up on Christmas Eve and on New Year's Eve, obviously it will say it won't show any, it'll show the next available time, which would be like January 1st if they came in on the 31st, or December 26th, whatever event you have scheduled for that time. In other words, you can set this based on whatever country you're in and whatever holidays you want to knock out, you can, so that it doesn't seem like, why would Anthony be doing a webinar at 11 o'clock on Christmas Day, right? So you get to choose your schedule. You also get to choose how many sessions show up in the drop-down menu. So let me just show you real quick one of my registration pages, okay? And hopefully mine will, this is just one we use for our, some of our demos. So check this out. Hopefully, let's see, we might can make the page just a little smaller. Okay, so you can see this is one for my YouTube masterclass. So I teach people how to grow their YouTube channels. And so we have a webinar for this. That's actually the one that we're in. And do you guys see this little button right here that says register for the webinar? And do you see how this timer already is set for 11 minutes and 32 seconds? Well, that's because currently where my time zone, where I logged in, it's 4:18, and so it's 4:18, so it's in about 12 minutes, we'll be starting another webinar, right? So at like 4:30. So, there's always a webinar going, right? Now check this out. When you go to register for the webinar, okay? So you go here and you want to put in your email address to register, okay? So let me just show you this. Does everybody see this little button right here? Okay? This button is what we create in Webinar Fuel. So I'm going to show you in just a second, this little button. So the rest of this page, you could build this page in any software you want. Doesn't matter what it is. You could build it in any software on the planet. This little button right here is made inside of Webinar Fuel. So maybe before I click it, I'll go in here and show you it in Webinar Fuel, okay? So we set up all of our scheduling, all right, how we want to set it up. And then we go here to what we call registration widgets. That's the little button that you see right here. So what we want to do is create a widget that we can place on a landing page so that anytime someone clicks it, they can register for one of our automated webinars. Does that make sense to everybody? Just say yes if it does. Okay, so you can embed this button into any page you want in the whole world. It doesn't have to be ClickFunnels. It could be any page. You put this little button on the page, and all of a sudden you can register people for your webinars. Okay, so check it out. It's really cool, these registration widgets. They're super, super cool. So we have different types. We have a floating widget. Okay, that's the ones that you've seen that kind of like float on the page, right? Like for instance, like this. You see how you can close it and open it back up. So it might be like just a random floating widget on some of your pages that are not designed specifically to get people on your webinars. But then we also have these embed buttons, okay? Now, you'll notice, we'll just go with this one, okay? We have these embed buttons. Now, what these embed buttons do is they allow you to go through and create your registration process. This is where we are light years ahead of any other software that's doing this. So let me show you guys thing number 2. I think I told you earlier something that was super important was your thank you page. Can anybody tell me, in fact, tell you what, I'll give 50 bucks to somebody, whoever answers this question correct, because I always like to challenge you to think, what is, if aside from getting a buyer out of this process, so like if somebody comes to my funnel to register for my webinar, okay, Annette, you win. It's not even a question. Annette, hey, Ken, if you could just grab Annette, where'd she go? Annette Conway, because she literally reads my mind. I need to give her 50 bucks. Annette Conway. What's the most important thing you can get outside of a buyer? If it's not a buyer, what's the most important thing you can get? Okay, if they're going to the webinar, of course, it's a lead. Annette Conway read my mind, somehow knew my question and answered fast. It's a lead, right? So look, if somebody comes to my registration page right here, okay, the most important thing that I can get is a buyer. But the next most important thing I can get is a lead, because without the lead, I'll never get the buyer, right? So here's the thing. Here's what absolutely kills me about all these other webinar platforms. Here's what they do. And I will show you, let me show you over here, okay? One moment, because I have all of mine set up kind of the right way. So it looks like this. Okay, so on all the other webinar platforms, okay, when you go to register for a webinar, okay, what they make you do is enter your name, your email address, and select a date and a time that you want to join the webinar, okay? So you see everything at one time. You see the date, you see the time of the webinar, and then you see where you give them your email address, your phone number, and your name. Does everybody see that? Does everybody understand that? Okay? So you have to give them all this information, okay, at one time. All right, well, what do you think happens if I come, let me refresh this so that it actually gives me my times, because we had already cycled through. So look, what do you think happens when I come here and I see that the date and time is November 14th at 4:30. It starts in 6 minutes, and I'm like, God, I can't do that in 6 minutes. I can't get on a webinar in 6 minutes. Do you think I'm going to register for the webinar? Yes or no? No. Okay. So then do you think that that means that I'm not going to give my email address to you at that point, right? Nope. So now, because of that, because my registration process is one step, I don't even get the leads that I can then follow up with, okay, to try to get them on a different webinar that they can attend at a different time. I don't get that chance because my registration process requires me to show them the date and time before I get their email address. That's the way all of the other automated webinar software works. And without hacking it with developers, you're stuck with it that way. But with our software, it's simple to create a two-step process. Check this out. When you click the register button, the first thing it asks for is your email address. That's it. Once you give us your email address, which means I now have the lead, then we say, what date and time would you like to attend the webinar? That way, if you don't select a date and time and you don't register for the webinar and you say, I don't have time for that, I still have your information and I can follow up with you to show you a replay, or I can show you even another event that you can attend. How many of you feel like that single feature alone can make you a ton of money that these other softwares, for whatever reason, don't do, right? The lead is important. You never want to make it hard to get the lead, okay? We make it simple, all right? Now, this process of creating your widget, very, very easy. This registration process here, you can design it however you want, okay? Over here, you'll see where we have these elements, okay? You see where it says register for the web class. That's where you see this right here. And you see where it says save my seat. You can see that's what it says right there. And then does everybody see where it says step 1? Okay, and step 1 has this email in it. Well, there you go. Step 1 is just an email. But do you see down here where it says step 2? Let's just go through step 2. You see down here where it says step 2, it says name, phone number, date and time. We can drag these, see, watch, we can drag them. We can move the name above the date and time, or we can move the date and time back above the name. In other words, you can customize your widget to look however you want it to look. It can be 5 steps if you want it to be 5 steps. We use a 2-step process because we want to get the lead first, and then we get everybody else's information, right? So it makes very, very easy for you to create a registration process that works really well, okay? Now, you guys have seen that I have 2 different widgets here. Does everybody see that I keep going back and forth between this blue button and this red button? Does everybody see that? Yes? Okay. I'm a big believer in split testing. Apparently, other companies that for whatever reason create this software are not a big believer in split testing, but I am. And so what I like to do is split test my widgets. I want to know which one is going to work, right? Which one works best. So for instance, if you were to look on my page here, and we'll see if this will work while I'm refreshing. I don't know. See how this button is blue? Let's see if I do a hard refresh, if it'll change. Hold on. Yep. Do you see how it's red now? Does everybody see how it changed when I refreshed the page? All of a sudden I got a different button, right? Well, the reason I got a different button is because inside of Webinar Fuel, you can create, you see where I have version 1 and version 2? You can create as many of these as you want, okay? You put it on your page, and look, there's one little place where you grab some code right here. When you place this code right here on your web page, any web page that you want to create, you copy this code. It will put your widget onto that page, and it will cycle through all the variations and versions that you create. So you only have to put one piece of code on your page. It'll cycle through all of them. And then you're like, well, how do I know which one works best? Well, pretty simple, because right here we have stats. And does everybody see where I have version 1 and version 2 stats, right? And does everybody see that version 1 is converting at 25% and version 2 is converting at 23%? That tells me it might be smarter for me to cut version 2 off and stick to version 1. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes? Okay. Everybody say yes? All right, very good. So this is very important, and let me explain why. We've only had on this particular one, what is this, like 2,300 visitors, give or take, right? And they've been split between these. But do you see how this one has had 287 registrants, this one's had 286? That's almost 20, it's 19 different, so we'll call it 20. That's 20 more registrations, okay, for every, call it 2,300 visitors, right? So think about what happens over time. If you've got 10,000 visitors, right? 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 visitors. Over the course of a year, you've got 100,000 visitors. And you were running a version that was 2% less. It adds up, right? And here's another tip that all of you should take. You should take this to the bank. You should make this part of your life if you are a digital marketer, okay? Always be testing. You don't ever stop. So even if version 1 is getting me 25% right now, and I'm like, yes, that works, perfect. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna create a version 3, and I'm gonna start split testing it against version 1. And I'm gonna see which one works. And then whichever one of those works, I'm gonna split test it again and again and again. I'm always gonna try to beat what my best one is. That's how we continue to grow and get better. But unlike all this other complicated stuff, let's just say that version 2 doesn't work. We don't have to go back to our web page and mess with anything. You just click this button and turn it off. And when you turn it off, it'll no longer show up on this page anymore or any other pages that you've put it on, right? Now, obviously you guys can see this is at 0 because I need to refresh my page. Okay, so what that means is that you have the opportunity, okay, to always do better with what you're doing. And that is what I always ask for and never could get with any of these softwares that do this, you know, any of this stuff, right? Now, let's look at the registration process, okay? Because I think that's pretty much very important. All right, we click the register button, all right? And then we go put our information in. And this has a bunch of autofill nonsense in it that I don't really use, but we'll see. Let's see. I'm probably not going to get the email, so it may make it hard to get on faking it like this, but we'll see. We'll select the date and time. How about we just click to join a session in progress? Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my name in. Okay, so put my name in like this, and then I'm just going to click register. All right, is everybody good with that? Everybody see that? I'm just going to put my name in. I'm going to click register. Watch. All right, so we complete our registration, and then do you see how this opens up and wants to open the Webby app? It looks just like GoToWebinar, right? I have the Webby app downloaded on my computer, so watch. I can click open the Webby app. Now, we may get some fatal crashes, we'll see, trying to open it with Zoom because it uses some of the same codecs. So I can't promise you that it'll work on Zoom, because why would anybody be on a webinar while on a webinar? Doesn't make a lot of sense, but check this out. You can see, boom.
People that opened and clicked on one of our emails in.
We're live. We're live on my webinar. Did everybody see that? Okay. So why did we do that, right? How did that work? Why did we do this? And what's the point of it? Well, the point is, and as you can see, I'm using multiple ones of these, so it makes it very difficult. I didn't put my real email address in, so I can't get the code, but it'll automatically load your webinar, okay? When it automatically loads your webinar, you literally are live inside of that software instantly. Like that moment, you're live inside of the software. Well, if you're live and inside of the software instantly, then at the end of the day, you're going to have people right on the webinar inside of software, which is exactly where you want them to be, right? Now, let's see if it shows me. Because I went straight to the one in progress. So check this out. If you register for one that, let's say, is coming in 10 minutes or 15 minutes or something like that, right? Check out what it shows you. You have a thank you page, because I registered for one that was happening right then. So didn't really make a lot of sense. You wouldn't see the thank you page. It loads the webinar up for you, right? But let's just say that you're going to one, and you can see my computer's going a little bit slow now because I'm on so many things at one time, so I apologize. But do you guys see this little thing right over here, this little widget looking thing right here? This is what allows you to build your very own thank you page, okay? And connect it to everything you're doing. So does everybody see this little thing right here? Okay. If you actually register for a webinar, it puts the link to the webinar right here. It does the countdown timer right here. It tells you the session. I haven't registered for one. I just opened this up from ClickFunnels. That's why it's all blank. This little code right here, you build this inside of Webinar Fuel. You see this thank you page here? You build this and boom. You can instantly go in here and build out exactly what you want on this little widget. This is what allows you, okay, to use your very own thank you pages. You do not have to use the crappy thank you pages these other softwares make you use. You can literally go right in here and use your own thank you page and put this code, you just grab it right here, on any page. And now that page can be your thank you page for your webinar. Does that make sense to everybody? It'll track your registrations. It'll track how many people, click on the link. It'll track every single thing that you need, right? And so it can be connected to anything, right? Like anything at all. It doesn't matter what it is. You can put it on there, right? So super, super simple. So that's how you build out your widgets, okay? I know that I've been rolling through this and I've got a lot of it going on. So I'm going to show you real quick, like the webinar room, okay? You can control what's in this webinar room. For instance, if you don't want it to say, did everybody see where it said we were live on the webinar? Did everybody see that little bug that says live when it opened up? If you don't want it to say live like that, you don't have to. You can click right here where you just disable it. And now all of a sudden it won't say live, right? You can show the number of attendees, right? So you don't have to show the number of attendees that are on the webinar, but you can. If you show the number, you can move it around, bottom, left, top. It doesn't really matter where you put it. You can put it wherever you want. You can actually have it show the legitimate number of people that are on that webinar by clicking this, or you can do a dynamic count up to whatever you want it to count to. So you can make it look like there's a lot of people that are, watching your webinar, right? Tons of other things that you can do. You can control your replay room, right? You can make it so that if somebody comes back to watch the replay, if they've already seen the offer that you've made, then it'll automatically show them the offer buttons. If they haven't seen the offer, then it won't show them the offer buttons. It'll make them watch the whole webinar. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So it makes them stay on the webinar to actually watch the webinar before they can click to buy anything. Okay. And then you set these CTAs. Okay. A CTA is anytime you want to pop something up in there. And so anytime you want to pop something up in the webinar, okay, you can put it in here. Like for instance, this is our YouTube masterclass. So check this out. This is what shows to people in the webinar, and we get to tell it when to show it. So that right when you get to the point of your webinar where you're trying to sell, this will pop up and people can click this button and they can buy, right? So it tracks where each person finishes. It knows where they stop. So when they rejoin the webinar, it rejoins them at the same place that they left off, right? If they've already seen the offer, it shows them the offer. So just like this, so that they can go ahead and buy. They don't have to sit on the webinar for another hour or two in order for it to actually let them purchase. So you get to control all of that right inside of your webinar room settings, okay? We have integrations. I don't know how many of you, let's see, you probably would want to look at it over here. Hold on. So we integrate with pretty much all kinds of autoresponders, all these different things. So if you want to take all your registrations and put them into your email list and put them into your CRM or your scheduler or whatever, you can do that. All the automations and all of the integrations are all built in. And then one other thing that I'll show you that's super powerful is notifications. Okay. So here's what's super cool about our notifications. Does everybody see this thing up here that says lead? Okay. Anytime somebody starts to register for your webinar, but they don't finish, okay, we can literally tell Webinar Fuel, hey, wait 5 minutes, all right, and then send this email to those people that are leads, and let's try to get them to register. And with one click, it'll take them back to register for a webinar. We can also send them additional emails over time, right? Because again, our goal is to try to get them to finish their registration, okay? This is mega powerful. Here's what's great about Webinar Fuel. You don't have to have all of these autoresponders and all of this stuff to try to track where people are and what emails to send. We do it all for you. I'm not going to click this because it shows people's data. This is live data, but there's a button over here that says registrants. It's kind of over here on the side. We build an entire database of your registrants. We show you everything about them. What type of computer were they on? Did they register on a desktop or a mobile device? Did they purchase? Did they purchase on a mobile device or a desktop device? Which webinars have they attended? How long have they been there? How many of them, who's made multiple purchases? Have they seen the CTA? You can literally go picking through that data and see whatever you want, right? So we know when people are leads. That way we can automatically email them for you and try to get them to finish registering. Then once they've registered, check this out. You can send push notifications to them, because a lot of people will register and they will join on their cell phones, okay? So if they join on their cell phones, they'll use our app. They'll download the app from the Android or the iPhone store, which means we can then push notifications to them. So now when the webinar is about to start, boom, push notification on their phone, tap, instantly loads the webinar. We can also send an SMS to them. So you can send text message reminders. And then of course, you can send email reminders. We'll let you do that to all the people that have registered. We'll be able to send emails and all of those automations right up until the webinar starts. Once the webinar starts, you can send notifications letting people know that it started. Once it's over, we'll start sending out messages to all the people that did not buy, okay? So all the people that joined your webinar but did not buy, they'll start getting all of these notifications from you. And then of course, you can set up emails and notifications for all the people that missed the webinar. So again, you don't even have to do anything to start an entire funnel of automation and follow-up with every single type of person that could have joined your webinar. Does that make sense? And there's nothing spammy about this. People are registering for this. So there's nothing, this is not spamming. They gave you the email address. You're allowed to follow up with them and they can unsubscribe should they choose to, right? There's no problem with that. So does this make sense to everybody? Yes. So the follow-ups inside of Webinar Fuel are epic. They're the best ones on the market. And it's because I am sick and tired of trying to take product A or software A and connect it to software B, and then somehow connect both of them to software C, and then take all three of those and connect it to software D, and then somehow take two of those and connect it to software F, all to just send a dang email to somebody, right? I just can't do it. I hate it. And so I just built everything into this so that it's easy for me to launch webinars, because one of the things that keeps people from launching their webinars is them sitting there trying to figure out, how do I do it, right? And why do I have to connect 52 things to one place in order for it to happen? You don't have to do that with this. The only thing you have to have outside of Webinar Fuel is literally just a place to build your landing pages. And again, doesn't matter what you use. You just simply have to have a place to build a thank you page and a registration page like I showed you. And you put our widgets on those pages. Again, any page under the sun will work, okay? And once you do that, boom, you're ready to go. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes? Okay. Now listen, there are a ton of other things inside of Webinar Fuel, okay? Tons and tons and tons. In fact, one of the probably more important things is right up here. Does everybody see this little link right here? This is called shared webinars. So if you have seen the like shared funnels from ClickFunnels, you can actually build webinars now, and you can go in here and click that button, send it to somebody, and it will automatically load the entire webinar, all the emails, all the follow-ups, all the settings, everything right into their account. Boom, done. They can start running a webinar just like that. 3 seconds later, all of that work done, everything ready, and with one click, they can launch and run webinars. They just take the widgets, plop them on a landing page, and they're good to go. Does that make sense, everybody? So we literally have complete shared webinars that you can push right over to anybody that you so choose, right? So really, really cool. Now, Webinar Fuel does not do live webinars. There's no point in it. Zoom does live webinars just fine, and so does GoToWebinar. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. The reason we did this is because nobody does automated webinars good. And so we said we need to be the ones that do automated webinars the right way, right? So there's tons of other features inside of here, but I think all of you've probably gotten a good handle on what they are, how it works, and why we would do this, right? How many of you feel like Webinar Fuel would be something that you would be interested in using? Just say yes if that's you, okay? Very cool. And by the way, you don't have to have ClickFunnels. You just have to have some way to build a landing page, right? Like whatever you use, WordPress, GrooveFunnels. We use ClickFunnels. I always suggest ClickFunnels because that's what I use, right? But that doesn't mean that that's the only thing. Now, I will tell you this, okay? I'll be super transparent with you. We are actually not selling Webinar Fuel right now. Ken will tell you this in a little while because he has asked me 550 times for the ability to sell Webinar Fuel, and I have said no. We opened Webinar Fuel, I want to say 3 or so months ago, and we let a small group of ClickFunnels users get into it, and we let my students get into it, and that's it. And all we've done is work hard to add features, fix bugs. Like, that's all we do. We have not opened this back up for sale. If you go to webinarfuel.com, you'll see there's no sales page there. The reason is because our goal is truly to get some active users, people that are actually going to use this, people that are actually going to go and build webinars, okay, into Webinar Fuel, so you can send us questions, right? Send us suggestions. We've changed the whole platform in the last 3 months. We've added so many features, it would just blow your mind, right? I mean, it's crazy, crazy, crazy. And, you know, I think Samantha just asked a question I forgot to even go over, which is the chat. Yes, if somebody's chatting on the webinar, it will roll over so that all future editions of that webinar have that chat role in it and have the engagement from the moderator or whoever in there. And you can pick and choose which messages you don't want to show up later on and all kinds of stuff. So it's a really, really intuitive and super simple process, okay? So I'm going to make you guys the same offer that we made to my students and the same offer that we made to a small group of the ClickFunnels students 3 months ago. This is an offer that we do not intend and did not intend to make to anybody else, okay? I want to be very clear on that. And I think you can just search around and see. I don't promote Webinar Fuel. You don't see me selling Webinar Fuel. You won't find me selling it. This is the only webinar I've done to sell Webinar Fuel or even talk about it since then. But again, Ken, like he mentioned, is a part of my mastermind. We've talked back and forth. He said you guys were a really good group of people, that you were coaches and consultants and digital course creators and people that would actually use this. And he said, will you please come and share this and teach a little bit and then share this software with them? And he'll tell you, it was not a yes, sir, absolutely, I'll be there scenario. I had to really think about it because quite honestly, we did say we weren't going to make this offer again, you know, and I try my best to, you know, do what I say I'm going to do. But in this particular scenario, we're going to allow you guys the same opportunity that we've allowed others. And then you'll see that going into next year, when we actually do open this up, it's a totally different scenario. So I'll show you what it is. Okay. So first of all, when Russell and I first talked about doing this, we were like, hey, let's give everybody 6 months of premium access to Webinar Fuel. And premium access is, you know, there will be, just like with ClickFunnels, there's packages, you know, one's this much per month, one's that much per month, you know, and they have different things. But we just want to say, hey, we need everybody to use all the features. Like, we don't need you to not have a feature. You know what I mean? Like, we need you to have all the features so that you can use all the features, so that you can tell us what's good about those features, what's bad about those features, what didn't work about those features, what you would like to see changed about those features. So like, holding stuff back isn't really beneficial at this particular point with this software. So we said, hey, look, let's just give everybody 12 months of premium access to Webinar Fuel, like all of the stuff, no nonsense, no BS, like you just get everything, okay? So everything in the entire software, every feature, all of that stuff, you get every bit of it. So does everybody understand that we're gonna give you 12 months of premium access to Webinar Fuel right now? Does that make sense to everybody? Just say yes, okay? So that's what you're going to get with this offer, is a full year to use Webinar Fuel and all of its features, okay? Every feature we have today and every feature we put in, you know, from today throughout the next year. Okay, so if you start adding that up, that's a $1,700 value. So $1,782 value if you're just looking at, hey, what we're going to charge for monthly fees and so on and so forth. Okay, so 12 months premium Webinar Fuel, $1,782 value. Then I came up with this idea because I'm crazy, and I said, hey, what if we did this Webinar Wednesday, where every single Wednesday I get on and I start talking about webinars with all of our Webinar Fuel students. I teach them how to do webinars the right way. 1 hour every Wednesday. As you can see, this is a picture of me at the ClickFunnels event. ClickFunnels took this. I didn't even know this was being taken, but you can see the amount of people that are around me, and they're all asking me about automated webinars. And this is not an uncommon occurrence for me when I go to these events. Fortunately, I get to talk to a lot of people, help a lot of people, share what I'm doing. Which is great. But I said, what if we could do that every Wednesday for every single Webinar Fuel user? How many of you would like to join me every Wednesday for training on just automated webinars, like no selling, no offers, no upsells, none of that crap, just literally going through Webinar Fuel, training, education, how to do things the right way. Ask a question, I'll answer. Just say yes if that seems like that might be valuable to you, right? So I promise to do this all the way until the end of this year. I apologize, as you guys know, I work from home and my dogs are deciding to join us on the conversation. So if you hear them, their names are Chloe and Sophie. Their middle names are terrible and worse than terrible. So I apologize. Anyway, so I decided I would do this. I have actually been doing these Webinar Wednesday events now for quite some time, like for a couple months since we started, since we first released Webinar Fuel. But then I got even crazier because I'm crazy. And I said, what if I just built webinars for people? Like, what if I went in and I just built all the webinars and I said, okay, this is great. This is awesome. What if I just go and build the webinars for people, right? What would happen then? And so then I said, all right, I'm going to do it. Okay. I'm going to go on. I'm going to build these webinars and I'm going to give them to people. And that's what I've been doing. I've been building webinars and using that little shared link that I showed you and giving them to people. Now, you might say, well, Anthony, how do you build a webinar and give them to people? Well, it's real simple. I build the webinar, I build the product, I build all of the stuff. So I build literally the training that you're gonna, like whatever the course you're gonna sell. I build the webinar out. I build out all of the automated, emails. I actually film and record the webinar and all of that. So it's literally like handed to you, done for you. Here's an entire digital product with a webinar, boom, have at it, right? And so I have been doing that. Like literally for 3 months, right? And so there's still room to go, which means if you decide to use Webinar Fuel now, you'll get the done for you webinar, all right? You'll get, we're on, I think we've got 2 that we've done now. So you'll get both of these completely done for you. Click a button, the webinar is in your account, okay? And you get to watch all the trainings, all the replays of all the Webinar Wednesdays and all that good stuff. Plus you get to attend all the next Webinar Wednesdays that we'll continue to be doing. And who knows, I'll probably continue doing forever. I've been doing the Success Connection every Thursday night for my students for 6 years. So for 6 years, I have shown up every Thursday night live for my students. I mean, literally, I never miss. And I'll tell you all this, if you sell digital products, one of the best things you can do is hold yourself accountable, right, to the people that you're selling to, right? Because I think a lot of times we get lost in data, right? And we say, gosh, just all these email addresses and all this data, but it's not really that. It's not really email addresses and data, it's people, right? It's somebody's grandfather, somebody's brother, somebody's sister, somebody's son, somebody's daughter, somebody's wife, somebody's husband. It's people, right? And the more you can connect with those people, the less you'll start to think about them like pieces of paper, like just data on your desk, right? And the more you think about them and relate to them as people, the better you'll do for them and the better they'll appreciate you. And the more they appreciate you, the more they'll buy from you, right? And so it's very symbiotic. And so for me, every single Thursday, doesn't matter what's happening in my life, I show up for my students and I teach. My dad died on a Tuesday. We buried him on a Friday morning. I did my webinar on a Thursday night. My cousin 3 years ago had a motorcycle accident on a Thursday afternoon, 26 years old, unfortunately didn't make it. He passed away. I did my webinar that Thursday night. When you make that kind of a commitment to the people that you sell to, right? You become better at what you do and they make you better at what you do. So if you get nothing out of this, take that away from it, right? Is don't run from the people that follow you. Don't try to box yourself off over here like you're this awesome person and they're, these other people. Like try to show up for them, right? Because it helps you to do a better job at what you do. And so I took that lesson into Webinar Fuel and I said, maybe I should do that here. Maybe I should show up for everybody every week and see how that works. And that's what I've been doing every single week for all of these people. And you guys will be invited to that as well, should you choose to join us and to do this. So here's what you're going to get. You'll get Webinar Fuel for 12 months. Okay. So 12 months. You'll get Webinar Wednesdays, right? And then you'll get done for you webinars. Russell put this here. I have no clue how much done for you webinars worth. I mean, you guys have seen how much money I make on my webinars. So if I do them for you, I film them for you, I edit them, and I give it to you. And it's really just me. You're getting to promote and sell the whole thing, and it's yours. I don't know what it's worth, but you know, I think we can all agree that it'd probably be worth $10,000 to have 2 or 3 completely done for you webinars from me, considering my track record and history with webinars, right? So we'll leave it at that. We'll say, listen, there's obviously, I hate stacks like this. I did not build this. I would never probably put this kind of stuff in here. It's just not my personality. To add it all up and be like, look, it's $75,000, but you get it for 5. You know, it's just not me. So we'll just shy away from all the money side of things and just say, listen, you're gonna get to use Webinar Fuel for 12 months. I'm gonna show up for you every Wednesday and teach you how to use this to build your business, to grow your business, to create more conversions, to change your process from whatever it is that you're doing, to either migrate over to webinars and or to add this as a layer, okay, of ways that you can sell and generate revenue. And then I'm also going to build webinars for you, completely done for you webinars, okay? And of course, wait, we don't have this, hold on. That's Russell's stuff. So this is something where Russell started talking. Russell and I did this presentation together, so I kind of just hide the stuff that he talks about and I just do my talk. So listen, if all of this did, right, and you got to think about this, if all of this did was simply help you create the perfect presentation to sell your product, like the perfect environment to sell your product, would it be worth it to you? Like if you just had the perfect presentation, because we're going to talk about that, okay, on Webinar Wednesdays, but also just the perfect software to show your presentation to the world to sell your product, would it be worth investing in? Yes or no? Right? All right. And listen, if all it did was just let you stop doing live webinars just like this one, today is literally my brother's birthday. So I am about to run over my own time limit that I've put on my own self because I'm supposed to have dinner with my brother on his birthday, but I'm here because that's what happens on live webinars. Would it be worth it to get your life back so that you're not rushed and staying away from your family and all of these things if you could do automated webinars? Yes. And if you could make more money from every single dollar that you spend in ads, would it be worth it to you? Yes, right? So you can see, and I think anybody can see why this is an amazing deal. Like, there's absolutely no question about it. This software, this process, this opportunity is something that every single one of you should take advantage of. And you can do that right now. And you can do it for just $997. Now, let me explain to you how this works. First of all, you can get enrolled, and if somebody will put this in the chat box for me, and if you guys could use the link that I have in the screen in the chat box, that would be awesome. You have to type in the www, okay? So you have to go to www.enrollwf.com/Ken, okay? So that link right there will take you to get enrolled in Webinar Fuel for $997 today. Let me explain to you how this works, okay? And again, make sure you type in the www or that link will not work, okay? It's a specific redirect link that we will shut down because at the end of the day, our goal, like I said, is just to have a few people in here right now while we go through our beta phase. And we're opening this up specifically for you and only for you. And you can check that out because I'm all over the internet, right? So just go looking for it. You're not going to find it for sale, right?
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't mean to interrupt you, brother. The guys just put a link in the chat, easierlifeonline.com/webinar fuel. It's the exact same thing. So you can click on either link, either the one in the chat or the one Anthony said. Sorry, Bo.
Sure, absolutely. Sure. So you guys can go to either one of those links. The link that we put in our presentation here, www.enrollwf.com/Ken. They've made their own link and they're putting in there. Let me just get a gauge of where we're at right now. Type the number 1 in the chat box if you're going right now to get enrolled and Ruth says I'm already enrolled, and getting enrolled and getting Webinar Fuel. We have Scott, we have Dr. Stacy, we have Tammy, we have, gosh, I have so many people that are typing this in. Colleen, we have Debbie. So you can type the one in, Kathleen, all these different people. Now, here's the thing. I have a bunch of people that are going to ask me this question. What happens after a year? What is the special deal here? How is this even a deal? Well, here's the thing. Webinar Fuel is going to be one of two things. either $297 per month or $97 per month for enrollment. That's what's going to happen once we get started with Webinar Fuel to the world, right? What we're doing is giving you a full year for only $997 of the $297 version, which is basically every feature, everything, the Webinar Wednesdays, like the whole 9 yards. Okay. So when we do our math, like we try always to be, you know, at least in my opinion, we try to be very, very, you know, conservative with those types of things, but it will cost about $3,500 a year to have Webinar Fuel. You're going to get it right now for $997. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So you're getting a very, very, very good deal on it. You're getting a huge discount on it. Plus you're getting all of the bonuses that we've put in for Webinar Wednesday and for the Done For You webinars. Here's the thing. That is not going to happen for everybody. I can promise you that. I can't do that. There's too many webinars every week. So this is it. Okay. So very, very important that you guys all know that. Now, there's obviously some people that ask questions and they'll say, it's awesome, Anthony. This is great. I really want to enroll, but I don't have a product yet. So what do I do? Here's the thing. The answer to you is affiliate webinars. Does everybody remember how I told you that I was the #1 affiliate for ClickFunnels? Just say yes. Okay. #1 affiliate for ClickFunnels. I built out a Done For You webinar that sells ClickFunnels for you. So when you get enrolled and you get Webinar Fuel and you check out on our Webinar Wednesday pages where we list all of our Done For You webinars, I literally built an entire webinar where I sell ClickFunnels for you. All you got to do in Webinar Fuel is change out the buy link to be your affiliate link, and boom, all of a sudden, all of those sales that come in, they're yours, even though I'm the one selling it for you. So if you don't have a product yet, what you don't want to do is stop and delay and make excuses and say, oh my gosh, well, I don't have a product yet. So if I don't have a product, I probably just shouldn't buy this. I'll be ready for it in 7 months. Let me tell you how many of you are going to be ready for it in 7 months if you're not ready for it now. None. Because until you take the first step towards doing something, you're paralyzed. And I just talked about this on my podcast, and I just talked about it to all of my students. And we talked about the danger of trying to be perfect, right? So many people strive for perfection when the reality is you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be good. You just need to be great. You just need to be good at something to make it happen and be successful with it. You can't be perfect. None of us are perfect. I'm not perfect. Ken's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Michael Jordan wasn't perfect. He missed shots, right? But he was great. He made a lot more than he missed. The point is if you're striving for perfection and you're sitting there holding yourself back saying, well, I'm not really ready yet. My product's not done yet. It's not good yet. You're making excuses. And what if Michael Jordan had said, God, you know, I'm just not a very good free throw shooter yet. And so he didn't play basketball, right? We wouldn't have a debate in the world anymore. There would just be LeBron James, the best player ever. There wouldn't be the one or the two. Here's the thing. You cannot let trying to be perfect at something hold you back. And you cannot let fear keep you from taking the actions that you know are going to help you succeed. So what I say is if you don't have a product, you know you still need to do webinars. You know you still need to be you know that this is the answer to being able to sell. Then get Webinar Fuel and do webinars to sell affiliate products. You can start with the one that I built for you, right? And then you can go from there, all right? Super, super important. So that's one of the questions. All right. And then one of the questions is, okay, Anthony, well, what do I pay after the first year? The answer is you get to choose, right? After the first year, you can choose either our $297 a month or our $97 a month plan, right? What we're doing is giving you a mega discount on your first year, and we're giving you bonuses that other people are not going to get. Does that make sense to everybody? Just say yes if that makes sense to you. Okay. I want to make sure we're very clear. Everybody understands what you're getting, why you're getting it, how you're getting it. The URL is on the screen. It's www.enrollwf.com/Ken. Okay. So you can get started right now for just $997, but it's up to you to take the action that's going to get you there. Webinar Fuel is unlike anything else in the industry. We have huge players in the industry that are now using this. We don't offer a monthly payment plan. We don't have a flexible payment plan. We don't have a discount plan. Like, this is the plan. And the reason is because quite honestly, we're taking your feedback so seriously, right? Like at this particular moment in time, we have a small number of users. It's only about 1,500, and it's a very small number. So it gives me the opportunity to answer questions. It gives our lead developer, Letitia, opportunity to answer questions. She's actually on all the webinar Wednesdays, our lead developer. And we can help, like when you need a specific thing, we can go do it, right? You want a change made, or you want this to do this, you want to integrate with that. We can go and make that happen, right? Which is something that's super, super important, but not something that very many people are able to do for you. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. And you can, again, use any platform with this. Okay. It doesn't have to be ClickFunnels. I just talk a lot about ClickFunnels on here because like we work a lot together. I'm their #1 affiliate. We're always doing things together, and I would never suggest that you go use a different software, mainly just because I don't, right? But you can do whatever you want, right? You can use whatever you choose. Now, let's talk about timing on this and how long this link is going to be available. How many of you are still trying to get enrolled? Type number 5 in if you're actually trying to get enrolled right now. You're on the order form page, you're trying to listen to me as I go like that, but you're trying to actually get things progress. If you're on the order form page, you're good to go. But I will say this, I'm going to talk with Ken once I hop off of here, and we'll determine, and I'll let him tell you how long we're going to be able to leave this link open. But I will tell you, this link will stop working 100%. It's not something, and I don't suggest that any of you go share it either. The goal is to let a few people from this event in. Those of you that want to do this, those of you that can make this happen, those of you that are serious about webinars, and those of you that are serious about doing something that can truly move the needle in your business, right? Make you make more sales and give you back some of your time as well, then this is for you, right? But we will be closing it down. We will not be leaving it open. And when you see it again, it'll be open at $300 a month because that is what we're going to sell this for. So it's a great discount for all of you to be able to get in, use these features. Cindy says, what's the maximum length of the webinars? You can put them as long as you want. There is no maximum length. So you can have as long a webinar as you want. And if any of you have any other specific questions, feel free to chime in. And Ken, if you have any, feel free.
There's only one thing I want to add, bro. I want to throw something on top of this, but wasn't decided to do it until I heard you say you were going to give them the ClickFunnels webinar. Friends, here's what you have to understand. I don't even heavily promote ClickFunnels. I use ClickFunnels myself, and for those that trust me to help them build webinars and stuff, I do refer them into it. So I don't make the type of affiliate commissions that Anthony does. But in the last 12 months, I've made $100,000 in commissions from ClickFunnels. And the reason the commissions are so high is they give 40% of the $297 commission. So if Anthony is willing to give you that funnel that works, for anybody that grabs this offer right now, I am going to gift you my $997 Easier Life Academy affiliate marketing course, which means you also get into the Facebook group where we teach Facebook advertising on a weekly basis, which means we're going to give you the back-end support to show you how to set this up. I've been using Webinar Fuel for 3 months on our setup. We'll show you how to run the ads to the webinar where Anthony sells it for you. But you're not getting that course, that bonus I just added on, unless you jump on this right now. You have to jump on this before Anthony leaves this webinar because, friends, for those that are in my master's program or in any of my higher end programs, you already know how important this is. We talk about this all the time. And the reason I've been holding some of you guys back for months on automating your webinars is because Webinar Jam sucks. I was on the webinar with Anthony and Russell months ago when they first talked about this, and it blew my mind. Webinar Jam, if you freaking ever try to automate a webinar with it, people get to it right away and they're like, shit, I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous. You go to Webinar Fuel and you don't realize it's automated. I've never seen anything like it. And so anybody that wants to jump into this, I'm gonna throw in that $997 course, which I sell 25 people that course every Monday night. and no problem at all selling it, but I'm going to give it to you because I want to support Anthony. You remember what Tony Robbins, for all the VIPs that are here, you remember what Grant Cardone said last night, right? Grant Cardone told all of the VIPs last night that if you really want to up your game, you find the person that you're chasing. You find the person that makes the money you want to make, that has the success in your field that you want, and you get close enough to them any way possible to become a known entity on their radar, and you make it happen. For me, I'll be completely honest with you. I'll be completely transparent. For me, it's Anthony Morrison. By the time I'm finished impressing that dude is going to call me every day. And this is one of the ways I'm going to do it. I want you guys all to get into this. I am going to be for Anthony Morrison what Anthony Morrison is to Russell Brunson, and we're going to do this together. This is the greatest software for digital marketers that I've seen since ClickFunnels, plain and simple.
Thank you. And listen, great advice from Grant. Finding the person that you want to emulate, finding the person you want to be like, finding somebody that it can help you level up, right? And do things in your business that you have yet to be able to do, and then getting close to them, right? And getting in that same sphere with them. And I do that all the time as well. And we continue to do it. And it's great advice. And listen, like I said, I know that there are a lot of you that are sitting there and you have limiting beliefs and you're sitting there, and I'm not going to NLP you guys all day long with a bunch of nonsense to sell, because I feel like most of you probably been here all day. You've listened to a lot of different speakers. All of us have a different vibe. I'm just a super raw, transparent, just, off the cuff type person. I really don't ever use PowerPoints like this. In fact, I'll be totally honest, when I text Ken earlier today, I'm like, hey, what time do I speak today? He's like, yeah, you're like 4:30. I'm like, cool. And then about 30 minutes before I came on here, I was like, I don't have any slides. And I had to go digging for the ones that we used 3 months ago that, again, I didn't create. That's why you saw some of the stuff Russell was in here. I had to use the stuff Russell created because I just would never do this. I would just straight off the cuff it and draw it on a whiteboard. But that's just because I don't like trying to push really hard with things. I feel like, again, if you educate people, which I feel like I educated you guys a lot on automated webinars, why they're good, why they're smart, all this stuff. If you're educated on this, then it should just be a no-brainer. You should just know, yeah, I need this. This is something I need to get for my business. I shouldn't have to tell you that. I should just be able to educate you, and then you make that decision for yourself. There are some people that are stuck in those situations where, you feel like, oh my gosh, it's not for me. I don't think that I'm going to have, I don't think that I'm going to have a product ready. I don't think I'm going to have the ability to do this, to do that, all this stuff. And here's the thing. Let me just be totally frank with you on this. That does not matter. When I'll never forget this. It is funny as hell, and you guys will laugh. When I filmed my first infomercial, which we didn't even talk about. So I did an infomercial on television, sold over 1 million books. We did hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. And when I did it, everybody laughed at me because they said, you're an idiot. 99 infomercials have failed that have been filmed in the same studio. 99 in a row, it's 96 in a row, have failed. One was successful. They're like, you're nuts to think you're going to pop in here, film an infomercial and crush it, right? And I'm like, if I don't go all in, if I'm not committed to it, sure, it won't work. Sure, it won't work. No, you're right, it won't. If I don't commit to it right now and say, it's going to work, I'm going to do it, we're going to make this happen, you're right, it won't, because I haven't bought into the process. So what did I do? I wrote a book. Most people don't write the book. In fact, when I teach people how to do infomercials, I teach them not to write the book. I teach them to literally build a book cover, slap it on the book, okay? Go up there, talk about it on television. And if it works, go write the book. And if it doesn't work, you haven't wasted all that time writing the book. But so completely counterintuitive. The way I did it, I wrote the book. I paid for the book. I went out, and when I did the infomercial company offered me to co-film completely free. I could film for free. Cost nothing to film my show. and they would give me like, I don't know, 5%, 10% royalty on my deal, right? Or I could buy in and I could pay for my show and I could put my money up there. But again, not knowing if it was even going to work. And you know what? I paid for it. And I ended up doing $100 million with that show, actually more than that.
Wow. And
sold 1 million books. And I did that because I believed in it and I went for it. I didn't let anybody tell me I couldn't. I didn't let anybody, they did tell me, I just didn't listen to them, right? I had a one-track mind, and that was, I'm going to be successful. And that's what you have to have if you want to be successful. You can't let what Grant Cardone does and what Ken does and what I do and all that truly dictate how you do you. You've got to know where you want to go, and you got to be strong enough up here, okay, to go there on your own. We can give you great advice. We can give you great little pointers and little tips and all that stuff. But I can promise you this, I didn't go through any mindset course. I didn't go sit through anybody's thing where they told me that I should think I could do the world and all that crap. No, I did this on my own, right? You guys see this right here? You'll always see, almost everywhere I'm at, you'll see where I say self-made, right? I have a big diamond chain that says self-made. Most people think it's super arrogant, so I didn't choose to wear it here to your crowd, Ken. But I can't hide this because it's behind me. It says self-made. You know what self-made means? A lot of you have probably been seeing it. How many of you noticed that that said self-made since we've been on here? Yes? Okay. Now, a lot of you probably think, dude is so arrogant. I mean, he's sitting there talking about he's self-made, like nobody helped him. Like his mama and daddy didn't provide him a damn good education, which is the reason why he got where he's got, the reason why he is where he is, all this stuff. Like he didn't have people in business that helped him. That's not what that means to me. What self-made means to me is that each and every day that I wake up and I walk in this office, I look at this and I realize everything I do, I make myself do. I don't have a boss. I don't have anybody to tell me what I have to do. I don't have anybody tell me I got to go buy a software. I don't have anybody tell me I have to do anything. I have to make myself do it. So each and every day, if I want to grow, if I want to get bigger, if I want to make more money, if I want my business to grow, if I want to reach more people, it's on me to wake up in the morning and choose to do that. It's not on anybody else, and nobody's going to make me do it. And that's what you got to realize. Each and every one of you got to be self-made. It doesn't mean that Ken can't help you along the way. It doesn't mean that Grant Cardone can't inspire you along the way. It doesn't mean that I can't help you along the way. But what it does mean is that at the end of the day, you have to make yourself do it. And that's basically where you're at right now. You've got to be self-made, right? Each and every day. So hopefully all of you can take that, use that little shift in mindset and go for it, right? Because that's what you got to do if you want to be successful. You can't just keep watching successful people. It is not going to put money in your bank account to sit here on this event and listen to all of us talk about. You notice I didn't talk much about my story other than what Ken asked me at the beginning. I didn't tell you about all until we're basically done. I jumped into teaching, education, and then I said, go do it, right? Go implement. That's the reason why I do my Thursday webinars with people, because my goal is to make my students quit being students and start being marketers. That's what you got to do. You got to stop all of the attending the events as if they're like literally watching your favorite television show. And you got to start attending these events to take as much education as you can and go implement it. And that implementation costs money. It ain't free. You're not going to learn how to do ads from Ken and go get a free coupon from Facebook. You're going to have to put your money up and do it, right? And that's the shift you've got to make in your mind, is you can learn all you want, but when it starts to be that moment where you've got to implement, it's going to cost you money. And you've got to be willing to spend that money knowing that the education you've given yourself is going to give you a true edge and the true ability to be successful with that action that you're taking. So hopefully each and every one of you can do this. Ken, thanks for having me here. It is my brother's birthday, and they did pull up, I don't know, probably 15 minutes ago. But once you get me started on like some kind of like mindset stuff, I could go 45 minutes and forget. So I have no clue, by the way, how long I just been on here.
No, you've been on for about 120 minutes.
So I don't know when I ended. I don't know how long it's been.
You've been on for about 120 minutes.
Oh, well, then that's not too bad. That's within your stated range, I believe. I hope. So,
brother, I really appreciate it. I know we don't get a lot of time to chat, and I know I'm beating you up pretty hard right now about a whole bunch of stuff, but man, I will definitely make you proud. We're going to have a lot of fun with this, and we got 30 or 40 people super excited about Webinar Fuel now, and I'm excited for them.
Awesome. Well, listen, thank you guys all for being here. Listen, I tell my students every Thursday, I tell them, listen, the weekend's coming up. I say, do a little something this weekend that other people are not doing, because when you're working while other people are playing, when you're learning while other people are not, that gives you just a slight edge, right? And that slight edge is really what it takes to be successful and to win out online, because you got to think you're competing with the whole world on this internet, right? So any kind of edge you can give yourself, then take it. And each and every one of you are doing exactly what I tell my students to do. And that is you're learning and you're educating yourself and you're doing something this weekend that's productive. So each and every one of you will have the edge over all those other people come Monday morning. That way you can hit the ground running Monday, and you'll be ahead of everybody else. So congrats to all of you. Props to all of you for being here, for listening. I know, Ken, you've got some more speakers and some more training. All of you, pay attention, listen and learn. That's what it's all about. You know, you don't know what you don't know, right? So
hey guys, listen, do me a favor, drop a big happy birthday, Adrian, in the chat. You make sure to tell Adrian that almost 400 people just wished him a happy birthday.
I'm a video.
We appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks for being here, Anthony.
Absolutely. Look at all the happy birthdays for Adrian. So even if I'm the one speaking, even if I'm the one speaking at an event, it always still ends up being about Adrian. So he'll appreciate that. He will appreciate it. It doesn't even matter if he's not here. It's still about him. Hey, listen, I'm going to leave this link open for a while, Ken. I'll let you tell me when to close it down, because I know you guys have a little bit more going on this weekend, but we will need to close it down by the end of the day tomorrow, okay?
All right. Thanks, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Take care, bro.
Bye.